Good evening, good evening. It is Dr. John, and tonight I have a very exciting subject to talk about. Talked to a lot of patients even today about this subject. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart because I talk about this a lot in all the nutritional plans that I make and the body and balance programs that we put together. It's something that we cover with a lot of our patients, and it's because we make a lot of mistakes in this area. And we're talking about supplements, and we're talking about shotgun approaches versus more specific approaches. So it's very important to focus on what we're doing and know that our efforts are going to make great strides in how and what we need to get results. So it's very important in that aspect. So when we talk about it, what am I talking about when I talk about shotgun versus specific approach with supplements? Well, it's very interesting because most people would say, aren't all supplements good for you? So many of our patients, they bring in bagfuls of supplements and they say, hey, Dr. John, are these good for me? Or is this what I need? Would this help? So many different questions about supplements. And first thing I do is I always grab them and I turn them over and I look at one very specific thing, and that's the ingredients. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But we've got to really understand the approach that we're doing, because in America, we make some very big mistakes when it comes to supplements. It's a big industry. And typically we utilize what we call the shotgun approach. And what we mean by that is, well, number one, if a little bit is good, a whole lot is better, right? That's not usually the case. Or, for example, maybe somebody that you are involved with, somebody that is a family member or a friend, a significant other, has had great results with a particular supplement. Well, then you jump right into it thinking that you're going to get the same result they did, and that's not always the case either. And so what we end up doing is we end up thinking that we're going to get health by taking the shotgun approach, getting supplements that have all these ingredients in them, vitamins and minerals and all these herbal supplements, and all these things that I'll put in my body. And in the end, with all this going in, it's got to be able to make something good out of it, and I got to get healthier from it. That's not always the case. That's like taking a shotgun and shooting a bunch of bullets at a target and hoping that one of them sticks. Well, that's not always the best plan, and it will never typically lead you to the result you're looking for. And so we have to talk about being more specific on our approach to supplementation and what we need to do. So we have to understand what truly is a deficiency versus a sufficiency. And that's really one of the big keys is, are you really deficient? So many people, they think, okay, well, I'm low on energy. I don't really have a lot of energy, so I must be deficient in vitamin B, so I'm going to take vitamin B injections. Or I'm going to get vitamin B supplementation at Whole Foods or at CVS or GNC or Walmart even. And so what they do is they go and buy some generic vitamin B supplement. They start taking it into their body, and they don't ever look at the ingredients, what really is in it, and they don't realize, have they ever tested? What B vitamin are you deficient in? What do you really need? Because if you don't have the specifics of what your body needs, you'll never be able to fulfill the correction that your body needs to bring it back to a state of balance. And that's a big component. So we have to be very specific in our approach. We have to understand that our approach with supplementation needs to address our true deficiencies, not affect our true sufficiencies, which is all the things that are in your body that are in normal values, that you're getting exactly what you need from your diet or from supplementation that you're already taking, and so you don't need any more help in those areas. So it's really important to understand what it means to be deficient and sufficient in those areas. What is too much? Well, when we talk about that, if you're sufficient in something that you're taking. So, for example, if someone ends up in, say, for instance, they do some testing, and they end up with a deficiency in vitamin A or vitamin E, possibly vitamin D, maybe iron. So they think, okay, I'm deficient in all these things. I'm going to go and I'm going to get me a multivitamin, and that multivitamin is going to have all these things in it in addition to the things that I need. So it's going to have the things I need, and it has all these other things that, they got to be good for my body because I've got to put it in my body and see how it works. That's not a great supplement. That's a shotgun approach. And when we talk about that, what happens is you get 43 things in this multivitamin. You needed 4. And what happens with the other things, the 39 items that are in that multivitamin that you don't need, don't meet sufficiency, what they become is toxicity. And what I mean by that is, although there are ingredients that may be very good for your body, if you have too much of them, too much of a good thing can lead to some imbalances and some system issues in your body. And that's a very big thing to understand, because if you have too much of it, your body has to excrete it. And that happens through many of the systems I've talked about. You just did a great series on self-regulation and self-healing. It was a 3-part series on understanding how the body works, the systems that are involved, and when we talk about that, we get into a state of toxicity with our supplements, and then these systems have to come into play, and then we create imbalance. Say, for example, we have to go through our liver and our kidneys are overtaxed with trying to filter all these things out of our body. That leads to imbalance, which leads to these systems coming offline, to not being optimized, and it can lead to other health problems because they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, because they're taking care of the self-inflicted over-sufficiency and over-intake of all these ingredients that you don't really need. So you want to be very specific in your approach and not do these shotgun approaches where a magic pill. It's not going to be a blue pill or a red pill, and this is going to take care of all of our needs. It doesn't work like that. Your body's very complex. It is self-regulating and self-healing, but we can really affect how well it can do that, if it can do it, and we can take it offline where it can't self-regulate and self-heal at all. And those are not good things to happen in our bodies. So we've got to make sure that we understand that. So when we talk about that, supplement toxicity, what does that really look like, Dr. John? Well, when we talk about that, excessive chronic intake of these types of things are bad. For example, vitamins. Most people think vitamins are good for your body, and no matter how much you take in, your body can just deal with it. If it's too much, it'll just go through your system and you won't have any problems. Well, that's not true in 4 specific vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are fat-soluble vitamins. They're not water-soluble vitamins, which means your body can't excrete them. So they can build up and become toxic in the body. Looking at vitamin A specifically, if you have a buildup of this in your body, it can lead to hair loss, it can lead to confusion, liver damage, and bone loss. Now, when we talk about those 4 things, there's people who have problems with hair loss out there. There's a whole industry for that. And it could be just simply because we have too much vitamin A in the body. When we take a look at confusion, how many people are thinking that, or they're taking things for mental acuity to improve their mental thought process? That's another thing that could really be affecting. When we talk about liver damage, how many efforts are we doing to clean our livers, liver detoxes? It's going crazy. And yet, if we're doing something on the other side that creates a toxicity by taking multivitamins with excessive vitamin A in them, then we've got a problem when it comes to that component. Or vitamin K, for example. Those are some big things. It can lead to bone loss. There's a lot of individuals in our realm, in our practice, that have osteopenia, which is the reduction of bone structure in their body. And that can simply be from years of exposure of over-supplementating their body and creating an overage of vitamin A, which starts to deficiently pull bone loss off. So there's a lot of things that we come into that component. Then when you look at minerals in the body, minerals are so critical. One of the big things I talk about with a lot of my patients is balancing minerals and making sure your minerals are ideal in your body, because they really help those systems that I talked about work much more effectively. And so when you look at that, what happens when a mineral like iron becomes too toxic in the body? Because yes, iron is a mineral your body cannot excrete. It cannot get it out of the body. So if you are taking loads and loads of iron in your body and you start to create a toxicity in that state, then we've got some problems, because a buildup to this can increase your risk of cancer and heart disease. Those are 2 of the major issues of our health system today. Heart disease is the #1 killer in our country, and cancer is coming right up behind it pretty quickly. So when you think about that, just having too much iron in your body can lead you to a risk of having those things occur in the body. So again, why would you take a lot of supplements and shotgun it when you know that these types of risks are involved? So we've got to be specific and take an approach that we know that we're addressing your specific needs. One of the other things that I love to talk about with supplements is most people don't think of it as a supplement stack up. And what I mean by that is I take a multivitamin and it has all of these things, and then I take perhaps some type of an herbal supplement that can help me with some type of a detox step. It has some minerals and it has some vitamins in it as well. And then I take a vitamin B because my energy's gone, so I'm adding that to it. As you see this go, we're stacking up a lot of the different vitamins and minerals that are in these different supplements that you're taking. And that stacks up on the body. And pretty soon, once thinking that one supplement took care of, like for example, my multivitamin takes care of all my vitamins and minerals, not realizing that all the other things you're taking have them in it as well, then you've created that overage, you've created that toxicity of that good ingredient, and now it's going to lead to issues in the body rather than helping your body become healthier and more optimized. And so we've got to understand that things like shotgun approaches, where we just take a bunch of stuff, and then looking at a bunch of stuff that we're taking and leading to the stack up of all the things that we're taking, what's it really doing in the body? What's the true exposure that I'm getting in the body when I take all these things? Those are some big things to really talk about when we do that. And so as we look at that, as we look at those stack ups or those toxicities or deficiencies, you're looking at things that are going to create great imbalance in the systems in your body, because the vitamins and minerals in your body are a foundation stone for how it runs. Correct balance, correct levels, they're very critical to make sure that your body digests and assimilates nutrients properly, that your body breaks down the foods, that it can absorb the food, that it can create energy, that your cells can create different things and different effects in the body. Immune system can run more effectively. Detoxification systems can run more effectively. So many things are so critical to have vitamins and minerals in play in a very stable state. And when you create issues with toxicity, you really start to throw these systems off. And when these systems, for example, when your say, for example, your system that is designed to eliminate all these things from your body is overtaxed, and it can't detoxify, and it can't excrete all the waste that you have, your immune system may have to come in and help fight, because if that's the case, it's loaded up. It may create some bacteria in your body. It may create some things, and the immune system has to come into play, which means your organs are going to start to actually come in and work, and we start just building on that with all the systems that start to break down in the body, and pretty soon you're exhausted, you're fatigued, you're not feeling great, and the overall issue is really all the ways been back to what we have just been doing to ourselves all along. So really, ultimately, you want to be very specific on what you're doing with your efforts when it comes to nutrition. One of the amazing questions that you really look at is how much do we truly spend when it comes to supplements. $5.50 a day is typically on average what an individual in America spends on supplements, health, and fitness. So when you look at that, that's $170 to $200 a month, somewhere in there, they're spending to just take care of supplementation and health and vitamins and minerals and herbal supplements and all these things. When we look at that, that's a great expenditure. And then we style back and we say, okay, so many individuals that we come across, we talk about, well, we want to be specific, we want to test, we want to use a tool that we have, and there's a cost to that structure. And what happens is they don't want to spend the money on the testing, but they'd rather go and do a shotgun effect and spend the same kind of money to just throw the kitchen sink at it, and hopefully that'll fix you. And what they don't realize is instead of taking a focused approach and investing in the specific type of testing that you need, they get nickel and dimed, and pretty soon, at the end of the year, you've spent more money on stuff that your body never absorbed than you would have if you would have just been tested, identified specifically what you need, and gotten the supplementation that your body specifically needs, rather than buying all these other things. So it's very important when we understand, not only is it a health impact, but it's a financial impact too. When you take these shotgun approaches, like I said, so many people come in the office and they have bags. I have had patients come in with full grocery bags of supplements that they want to review with in regards to their health and their health challenges. And you look at these things and how much money they're spending on their supplementation. And the one clear picture is this: they've carried this stuff in, they've done the research, they've bought the products, and ultimately they've never gotten the result. And that says a lot, because they've thrown kitchen sinks in it. Like I said, they've taken a shotgun and they've shot it. And they've got all these different things, and they're building this stuff in the body. And when you have that scenario, you're faced with one big thing: we got to detox before we even start. And so there's a lot of different things you have to do. It's a big approach that you have to understand when you want to supplement your diet structure. It's very important, because what we do know is the food bases that we are eating today do not have the vitamins and the mineral structures that they once had. And so we are not getting the nutrients that we once used to get. So supplementation is unfortunately a big component of our plan, of our health plans that we have to execute, of the diet structures that we use. We've got to make sure that we're using the appropriate vitamins and minerals. But we've got to do some very big things. Number one, we've got to make sure that they're specific to our body. We've got to make sure that they are going to be effectively specific to address our true deficiencies. That's number one. Number two is we have to make sure they're bioavailable. Are they things that your body can absorb? Vitamin A is a great example. Vitamin A can come from a couple different sources. Many of the synthetic sources that are made out there become toxic in the body and you can't absorb it. Again, it's a fat soluble. Vitamin E is another one. You can actually get it from synthetic sources and you can build it up a lot faster. If you get it from a beta-carotene or beta-carotenoid source, the body is much more bioavailable to that. It can deal with it more effectively, and so you don't have that issue. So there's a lot of great things when we talk about those components in that. The other thing we really have to talk about when we talk about supplements is if you're shotgunning all these supplements and you're taking all these things, what people don't recognize is the other things that are in supplements, because they have to make them manufacturable, which means they have to put fillers and caking agents that make them not clog up the systems that are manufacturing them. They have to put preservatives in them that actually help them to maintain shelf life. And then also a lot of them, I looked at a couple today in the office, and there was 5 different colorants in one supplement, and the pill was like this big. And so I'm looking at it going, what for? It's crazy. And those types of things, those dyes, those stearates, the excipients as they're known, they can create some DNA modification, immune system suppression. They can create things that are going to bring lots of problems in health that you're going to be chasing solutions for, when all along the creation was a supplement plan. And so we've got to make sure that we're specific, because ingredients are very, very critical in it. That's number 3, is to make sure your ingredients are right on the money. So some great questions, as all our patients always ask us, are how do we get specific? How do we know that we know? Well, there's some great options for you to look at. There's some things that we do in our office and that we have done in our office to help patients identify specifically what their needs are. There's micro and macro testing. That's a blood-based type test that can really go through vitamins, minerals, heavy metals, and really identify specifically what is it that you truly need, rather than doing this shotgun approach. We also utilize our programs like Body and Balance and Life and Balance. Our Body and Balance and Life and Balance programs use a biocommunication, a biofeedback that measures frequency resonance in the body and can start to determine what are the right supplementations that you need to address imbalances in your body or incoherences. So that is specific to you. So you have a tool that actually truly measures with your body what's going on. So there's a tool like that as well. We have a tool called EDS that can do that in regards to things like parasites and funguses and molds and many other things. It can really identify what are the specific supplements approach that we need to do to address those types of issues in your body. So we have that as well. We also have what we call quantum reflex analysis, and this deals with the biofield of what's going on in your body, so we can truly measure some of the things that are going on. We can measure how your body responds. I love doing that type of testing, because as we go through the process, we can identify organs that your body needs to help have support with, and we can also implement specific protocol that not only is it going to be identified and ideally right on the money with what you need to do for your body, but it's also going to be something you feel the difference through the testing, because we utilize you in the test. So you'll physically feel the difference as we implement a protocol to solve those issues. So very interesting. So again, Body and Balance, Life and Balance, quantum reflex analysis, and blood-based testing. These are all methods that we can use to identify specifically what you need. So ultimately, what we always say is we don't guess, we test, identify your specific needs so that we can address exactly what's harming, what's creating imbalance, what's taking your health from suboptimal or from optimal to suboptimal. what's taking it offline. And we don't want to have that happen. We want to help you have the most optimal, vibrant health you can have. But we have to have a specific approach. You've got to have a plan that's going to address your specific needs. No longer is it a shotgun approach. The old, I'm going to take a pill a day and it's going to take care of all my needs. That's not necessarily the case anymore, because we have a specific body and everybody's different. No one's going to have the same deficiencies. No one's going to have the same challenges health-wise, and they're going to need different approaches. And that's specifically what we do in our office, is to make sure that we can do that. So if you're not in our area and you're global, we can help you as well. We can utilize all these types of tools specifically without you being in our office. We can do a lot of things remotely to help identify specifically what you need. So don't think just because you're out of state, out of Florida, you're not in Florida, you can't get any help from us. You certainly can, because ideally what it is you've got to make sure that the machine that you live in every day is the most optimal machine in the world. You want to make sure that every dollar you spend, every effort you make is going to help your body do great things. We don't want to guess. You only have one of these things, and you want to make sure it's always running the best it possibly can. So I hope this helped. I hope there were some nuggets. Again, if you have any questions on this video or on this information, put a comment below. We will make sure we get back to you. There are tons of videos available on our Facebook and YouTube pages for you to look at and find more information out about what we're doing and answer tons of questions. I like to use this format to answer questions from patients. So if you have questions, ask them, contact us. If you want to get involved with Body Imbalance, Life Imbalance, EDS testing, blood-based testing, contact our office, 683-8177. It's area code 904. We would love to help you out. We would love to get involved with what you're doing. So I hope everybody has an awesome Thursday night, a beautiful weekend coming up, and I will be talking to you soon next week. Look forward to an email coming out to tell you what we're going to be talking about. That'll be coming out on our newsletters, and we will be talking to you soon. Have a great weekend.